A UFO sighting in Hub City in 1960 has created a time anomaly. It looks like your friends survived. You should have figured it out by now.
Supposed to be the dumb one.
The Alien Alliance invasion attempt has ended in victory for Earth. In Starman number 6, Will Payton helps save the Sydney Opera House. Then hears a voice of congratulation. The atom soon grows to assign a face to the disembodied voice and shake the neophyte Starman's hand. The pair bond over being reluctant superheroes who nonetheless served mankind when called upon. Will had heard about Ray's book and wondered if it had any heroism pointers, but Palmer admitted that it was more a blueprint for what not to do in the trade. Most especially, the atom warned Starman against revealing his secret identity. Since both books were written by Roger Stern, Ray's voice was consistent, and since it was drawn by Tom Lyle, so is my level of enthusiasm for the art. Graham Nolan and K.S. Wilson were responsible for that art on the holiday 1988 cover-dated Power of the Atom number 8. In a hard sell of the atom in his own book, The Least Effective Way to Entice New Readers, the splash tells everyone about how the Mighty Mite was first hero on the ground and among the last wrangling stragglers. I'm guessing Tasmanian Devil doesn't count, since he was beaten off panel on his home turf. Anyway, Ray was floating on air currents, heard a cry for help, and lifted debris using his size and density-altering powers as a wedge. A Kun took potshots during this effort, and Adam didn't like that, so a beating was delivered. The authorities took the Kun away in chains. So my first question is, where did they come up with Kun-sized neck shackles? And my second question is, what happened to all of those Alien Alliance POWs? Like, are they still here? Were they returned to the Kundian Empire in exchange for blasters? Were they repatriated to Australia? Amid the rubble of Brisbane, Kronos was gathering alien weapons off the bodies of dead Kuns. A Thanagarian took offense to this and took a shot. Kronos timed out on that, and when the Thanagarian landed to assess for presumed disintegration, David Clinton gave him that love touch, by which I mean Kronos touched his shoulder from behind and aged him to death. I have to assume Thanagarians never fully recovered from the equalization plague if one got outflanked in personal combat by Tricky Dick. Power Girl and Green Lantern were also helping to shore up the battle-damaged Sydney Opera House. So that's probably how the Atom got to ride on Hal Jordan's shoulder back to a military base. Even got his costume repaired via Power Ring. Don't get used to palling around with old school Justice Leaguers, Ray. The quality of your team associations is going to drop markedly going forward. Soldiers in the area look on at the desiccated corpse of the Thanagarian, pinned to a wall by his wings, tagged with a note, "Atom, the truce is over. C." It was really thoughtful of Kronos to sign the letter, given the breadth of Atom's rogues gallery. Then again, he signed with the letter C, and the entirety of them are C-list, so there's still some potential for confusion. When Ray accidentally pulled off Hawkman's honor wings a few issues ago, it was a setup for this limp fake-out. Such is the sorry state of affairs, known collectively by the title, Power of the Atom. Meanwhile, Gene Hoban calls Norman Brawler's house in hopes of an update on Ray, but Enrica Negrini answered. I swear that name sounds like something they'd come up with on a sitcom when a character's about to get busted for pretending to be an exotic foreigner. I don't remember answering phones while visiting other people's houses back in the cordful days of landlines, but maybe they do things differently in Italy. And Jean asks, "Is this Enrica?" She does one of those drawn out, "Yes," and identifies herself as Dr. Negrini. So it's like the Donna Reed show where Jean Loring is playing both parts using mirrors. Dr. Negrini doesn't know anything, but wonders to herself if Jean is overly concerned about the well-being of a man she swore to love, honor, and protect for the rest of her life, and was still married to a couple of 3 years ago. I guess we are still 2 decades away from Silver Linings Playbook blowing away the myth that people don't still have feelings for their significant others after the end of a relationship. This one page went a long way in turning me off to Negrini, but I do have to remind myself that she was talking to Jean. Who knows what kind of crazy was coming across that doesn't translate to the page, or how much her being the worst brings out the worst in others. Both Ray Palmer and David Clinton managed to separately make the 15 to 21 hour trip back to San Clemente, California in a span of that conversation. When authorities refuse to investigate a powerful local figure on the say-so of a man who still wears his underwear on the outside, the Atom commits the actual crime of breaking into Clinton's house. There's a gauntlet of technology and thugs and riot gear for the Tiny Titan to overcome, while Clinton watches it all on closed-circuit television from his yacht. When that fails, as he surely knew it would, Clinton just remote detonates his own house to get the Atom. How do you figure that turned out? Or when Kronos and his henchman buddy go to check the site of the explosion in full costume? Sure, Atom could have figured out a way to follow the signal to the yacht, but instead he'll just let Kronos come to him and serve knuckle sandwiches at the picnic. And again, set up, Kronos eventually gets his hand on Atom's shoulder, which Atom rightly guessed would be immune to the rapid aging effect because of the white dwarf matter, based purely on a hunch. He offers no evidence as to why that would be, and it was an extremely stupid and dangerous way to bait Kronos into taking exactly one punch. Ooh. before his evading with time jumping again. But comics, bad comics. Anyway, a bomb goes off and fries Kronos' suit a few minutes into the future, and then catches up to Ray with an inverted final splash page explosion. You can't say that EC didn't try to push the Atom during his brief and unexceptional run. The series tied multiple issues into the Invasion event, and as a reward, Bart Sears drew Atom on Superman's shoulder dead center on the cover of the final issue of the miniseries. I still managed to miss that fact 9 times out of 10 while looking at said cover, but I was actively looking for the perhaps too tiny Titan this time. 20 pages into the third 80-page issue, the Atom can be seen riding Amanda Waller's shoulder after dropping Kronos off at Belle Reve Federal Penitentiary in Louisiana. What charges? What evidence? The negative image gene bomb dropped by the Dominators causes humans with the metagene to trigger uncontrollable power spikes, compromising a prison filthy with them. As a dude who gets his abilities from a suit, the Atom gets drafted to help neutralize inmates in any way possible. When Task Force X voluntary agent Nightshade is affected, Atom asks Miss Waller how she wants to proceed. It's rendered moot relatively quickly, as the affected metagene actives soon grow gravely ill. It all gets resolved without any more Atom action to cover, so come back next week when I finally close the loop on April Fool's Month and I wrap up this catch-up to my recent guest appearance on the Justice League International Wahaha podcast.
Seems like one of us lost track of time.
Well, how long did you...
By the time they found me, I'd nearly lost my mind. I was so weak, I was strangling rats to survive.
Pals of the Atom include Baby Skeletor, Chris Dunford, Chris Lydon, Dave's Comic Heroes blog, DC in the 80s, Doc Strange, Ed Moore, Firestorm Fan, Green Lantern HG, I'll Be the Light in the Dark, Iowa's Joe Crawford, Jeffrey Brown, Jim Imbruglia, King Dinosaur, MB, Tim Price the Podcrasher, and Xenozoic Xenophiles. Chris Dunford notes, always great to see the Atom getting the spotlight. The sheer power of the character gets overlooked too often. This is going to be a great one.
When who found you?
The Time Masters. They took me to a place called the Vanishing Point. Time doesn't exist there the way it does on Earth. I've spent lifetimes being restored by them, training by them, fighting by them.